Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing my May book review, and I know it's been posted a little bit late by a couple of days, so I do apologize. It's been a crazy week, but this is my May book review, and it is for Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I went about getting this book before I get into my review. I will try not to do any spoilers. I think the information that I'm giving is pretty basic, doesn't really give a lot away regarding what actually happens in the story, but I wanted to tell you how I picked this and all of that. So when I am picking my books, I am doing new releases every month this year. And what I do is I usually just go on Barnes & Noble's website under their new releases, and I do usually try to find like super new releases. Obviously, you know, new releases could be 2 months old, 3 months old, but I try to find fresh releases. And this book, Into the Water, was released, I think, the first week of May 4th maybe. So it was very fresh. And I found it on their website. The cover of the book just looked super interesting to me. I liked the cover, the colors, all of that. So that was what drew me into it initially. I gotta say, the second thing that drew me in was where it says here that it's the same author for The Girl on the Train. I have never read the book, but I've seen the movie, so of course I was familiar with the name, and that's the other thing that kind of drew me to it. So I read the synopsis of the book, and then it looked really interesting to me. So I love suspense thrillers. The first book that I did, the first book review that I did on my channel, The Last Mrs. Parrish, is a suspense thriller. So I love suspense thrillers. So that was the third thing that intrigued me, and finally, after looking for other books, really made me choose this book. So what I did is I always go to Barnes & Noble to buy my books. I usually go to one closer to me, but I was going to be kind of in the area where I actually ended up going to this Barnes & Noble. And what I did is I initially went in, and I had my daughter with me. I was going to be buying her a book as well. So instead of first checking they had the book, we went to the kid area, checked for her book, let her just kind of play around in that area. And then finally on our way out, when I didn't see it, I asked someone there, and they did have paperbacks. But if you've watched any of my other reviews, you know that I prefer hard covers. So I don't really like paperbacks. I just love like having the hardcover. So it's kind of a deal breaker for me. So what I did is they checked the closest Barnes & Noble, which was a little bit farther still even than that one that I ended up going to, and they did have it. So what I did is I went online and I held the book. I thought I held the right one. So when I got there, I went to the kids section again. My daughter picked a book there because I didn't feel like having two different transactions from two Barnes & Nobles on my cart. So she picked a book. I went to the front and they gave me this. She showed it to me. All I really saw was this, and like, yeah, that's it. And then she told me the total, which for the kid book and this book was like $40, maybe a little bit over that. And I was kind of confused because I thought it was like $23, which again isn't a big deal overall. I bought it anyway at that price, but I was just kind of surprised. I get in the car and I pull the book out of the bag, and I realize that it says it's a signed copy. So I'm thinking that it was $28, and that is what it says on the cover. But usually at Barnes & Noble's, they have a lot of their new releases are discounted, even if you don't have the membership, which I used to. I don't. I really need to re-up that because, you know, I buy books every month. So I wonder if the signed copy was just more expensive, or they just happened to have them and they just, maybe that's why it wasn't a big deal. She didn't ask me if I wanted it, but I'm going to take the cover off because, as I said before, when I read my books, I like to take the cover off. I try to preserve the cover as much as I can because once I'm done reading it, I do put it back in the cover. But this is what it looks like. This book kind of stained very easily. I took it to work with me to read there, but I think I just kind of stained, which is unfortunate, but that's what the cover's for, right? So this is what it looks like. I will show you the signature in case you're interested. So I'm definitely a Paula Hawkins fan now. After I read this book, I haven't read The Girl on the Train. I watched the movie, but I really enjoyed it, so maybe having a signed copy isn't so bad. So just wanted to tell you guys about that. So always make sure when you buy a book that if you don't want the signed copy that you look, because I didn't look. But I'm going to answer the 5 questions that I do for my book review for you guys to give you an idea about the book and if you would like to read it. So again, the title is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. The category of this book is adult, I would say. I think I mentioned before, as a middle school kid, I went to the library and just kind of read whatever I wanted. Probably something I should have been reading, like books like this that are adult themed. But you may not want your kid reading this. So it is adult category. The first question I already answered is, how did you find out about the book? As I said, I searched through Barnes & Noble new releases whenever I pick my books, except for I'll Be Gone in the Dark. That book I already knew that I wanted to get that book. I've been waiting for it. So if I already have an idea about a book that I'm waiting for, which lately hasn't happened very often, then I don't search the new releases. But in this case, I did. And then 2, who do you think would enjoy this book? So again, like I said, it is adult themed. So for adults out there that enjoy suspense thriller books, you would love this. If you read The Girl on a Train, if you're already a fan of Paula Hawkins, and even if you didn't read the book but you watched the movie, right, you would enjoy this book. And in general, I think if you enjoy storylines that go along with like what you would feel like would go into a movie, as I was reading the book, I felt that. So I think as long as you're into suspense thrillers, some people don't like them, they shy away from them, but if you're into that, then you would very much enjoy this book. So the third question is, will you tell us a little bit about the story? So without giving too many spoilers away, I will tell you a little bit about the story. So the book is set in a fictional English countryside town called Beckford. So it's a small town, and it's highlighted by a river and an area they call the Drowning Pool, which I imagine is like a huge lake or pond or something along those lines. So that's kind of the highlight of that area. Really everything revolves around that. So the Drowning Pool, many women have died there, some by choice, some against their will, which is a huge part of this story. The story does bounce around chronologically as well as among the characters. So for the first 40 pages, I was a little bit, I don't want to say confused, but I didn't feel like I had a good grip of who the main characters were, what the exact storyline was, just because it was bouncing around so much. And I was still trying to get a handle of who was who, what was what. But I think that it did help build the suspense because I did kind of have to pay attention to who the different characters were, what the relationship was to each other, and it just kind of helped build that suspense a little bit, I felt. I mean, it did build a good foundation for all of the people that were involved in some way or another, of how messed up all the characters are. So that was interesting because I've never really read, I read books that have different character viewpoints. They kind of break it down that way. But the fact that it was chronologically moving around, and that it wasn't just 1, 2, or 3 characters, it was a lot of characters that it was moving through. So I haven't read a book like that before. So one thing about the book, there is a lot of suspense that builds up throughout the whole book. You'll find that there are different things happening with different characters, and so as the book goes along, there's a lot of stories kind of individually and then together, which was really nice. The book doesn't have a lot of, like, it's really more the suspense, like, not so much like the girl on the train. I know was about drugs, sex, domestic abuse. This doesn't have necessarily all of those components. It does have a lot of them. The sex component, I feel, isn't there as much, but it just creates a lot of suspense with all the other things that are going on. So if you read it, you'll find that. The one thing is that there were some characters to me that seemed unnecessary at the beginning. They didn't have huge storylines. They seemed to just be supporting characters for the main characters, which when you're reading the book, it feels like there are a lot of main characters, and I think that there are. But there are still some that aren't playing front and center in this book. So at first, like I said, the characters didn't seem necessary. But once you piece everything together, once you finish reading the book, you do find that the characters are needed almost to complete the storylines for everybody else. So that was kind of interesting. I don't really want to give more than that away because it's kind of hard to explain anyway and not give spoilers when you're talking about a book with so many characters. So I just kind of wanted to give you the brief kind of summary of what it's about. And you will find that the storylines traverse over young people, older people, people that meet in the middle. So there's a lot of different personality types in the book, which is kind of nice. So that's really all I wanted to tell you about the story itself. Question number 4 is the book part of a series? No. So this book is the second novel for Paula Hawkins after The Girl on the Train. And I'm imagining that she'll probably do more moving forward. Who knows what will happen with this book. It may become a movie, and that is my 5th question. My last question is, has a movie been made of the book? So no, right, the book just came out a month ago, but the book does read like a movie. I could imagine it being a movie, especially with The Girl on the Train being turned into a movie. When I was reading the book, having seen the movie The Girl on the Train, I kind of imagined the same kind of, you know, obviously she wrote the book, but the director and all of that, that's kind of a whole different thing. But I really felt reading the book that I was seeing everything through the way that the director had kind of developed the movie, and it really felt like it seemed to go along the same lines, the same feel as The Girl on the Train. So I could definitely see Into the Water being turned into a movie and being very successful. So overall, I want to tell you about the book. I really liked it. I want to tell you how I feel about the book. So I really liked it. It was suspenseful. There are a couple of things that kind of left me wanting more. So reading the book, the characters are all tied to this drowning pool, to this river. This is what binds the characters. And as I was reading the book, I really felt this like hypnotic feeling where you could really feel why the characters were drawn to this drowning pool. It was almost just the way that she wrote everything was really good and making me feel like I could see why they were so drawn to this place. And the whole community and how they can be sucked in by the water. So that was super interesting to me. Good writing. I really enjoyed that part. As well as the ending did surprise me. So what I was trying to figure out in my head as I was reading it, it was not what I expected to find at the end. So that was surprising. The end did not disappoint in that fashion. But the one thing I did feel that there were some loose ends, things that were left up to the reader to decipher. And as much as I do like that sometimes, even now I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about the way that the book ended, I did feel like there could have been more of a closure for certain characters that weren't explained that I was still wondering about. But overall, I really enjoyed the book. It created so much suspense. The characters that were developed, the ones that I felt were main characters, were developed really well, and everything kind of tied together at the end. I know in the beginning, the first couple 40-50 pages kind of left me a little bit confused until I kind of got into the groove of what she was trying to do and everything. I feel like it tied together really well. So I would definitely recommend this book. And actually, before I let you guys go, I usually do this in the beginning, but I want to read to you what it says in the sleeve of the book. That might give you a little bit more, still not a spoiler, but maybe give you a better idea of what you can expect to find in the story. So it says here, a single mother turns up dead at the bottom of the river that runs through town. Earlier in the summer, a vulnerable teenage girl met the same fate. They are not the first women lost to these dark waters, but their deaths disturb the river and its history, dredging up secrets long submerged. Left behind as a lonely 15-year-old girl, parentless and friendless, she now finds herself in the care of her mother's sister, a fearful stranger who has been dragged back to the place she deliberately ran from, a place to which she vowed she'd never return. With the same propulsive writing and acute understanding of human instincts that captivated millions of readers around the world in her explosive debut thriller, The Girl on the Train, Paula Hawkins delivers an urgent, twisting, deeply satisfying read that hinges on the deceptiveness of emotion and memory, as well as the devastating ways that the past can reach a long arm into the present. Beware a calm surface, you never know what lies beneath. So, sorry, you should read that in the beginning, but it gives a little bit more information about the characters without actually saying too much. But it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. You guys should read it. Let me know what you think if you've already read it. I know it's been out for about a month, so I'm sure a lot of people have read it. When I tried to buy the book at the original Barnes & Noble that I went to, I guess they were just been sold out of all the hardcovers. So I can imagine there have been a lot of people who have read it. So feel free to comment down below. Let me know what you thought of it. Any theories that you have or anything that maybe confused you. I've read on a couple of forums where a lot of people are still wondering about things that happened that I thought that the book answered, but maybe I have to reread it. Maybe there are things that I didn't even think about, knowing what I know now after finishing the book. So feel free to comment down below if you have any comments. Feel free to like if you enjoyed the video, and feel free to subscribe. Of course, I do a book review video every month, so I always try to pick books that are exciting. Like I said, there are always new releases. Sometimes they are novels, sometimes they're based on true events, sometimes they're self-help books. So there's always something for everybody, so feel free to subscribe, watch my other videos if you haven't already. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.